And some of the things I say might actually jar you a little bit and get you, if you're artists at heart and soul, get you a little upset, I hope. And then what happens is, as we fill in the blanks, you start going, oh, I get it, I get it, I get it. Acting is an incredibly simplistic, childish, like literally childlike, silly craft. It's silly. And when it's done really right, you don't even notice it. Like playing a French horn, that's hard. You look at that and you go, I don't know how to do that. But looking at somebody in the eyes and saying something like you mean it, that's kind of, you know, there's 7 billion people on the planet. All 7 billion know how to do that. So the entire planet is covered with 7 billion actors. So the craft of acting is incredibly simplistic. Look at it this way. Anybody classical musicians in the room? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a classical pianist. That's a hard instrument to play. The craft is really difficult. You sometimes have to, with 2 hands, come up with 5 different voices. You need to figure out the fingering. There's compositional analysis and dynamics, and there's also these pedals underneath that somehow you play with syncopated time, and it's a very difficult craft. The instrument, however, is a piece of wood with a bunch of strings in it. It's a ridiculously simplistic instrument. Yeah? Acting is the exact opposite. The craft is a joke. You stand there and you say something like you mean it. Everyone does it all day long. We're all good at it. The instrument, though, is you, and the instrument is intensely, intensely complex. It's the most complex thing on the planet, your cranium. The consciousness is something that no one yet has figured out what it even means, let alone how it works. We are intensely complex. So the craft of acting is actually really quite simple. But the art of being is actually the essentials of what we do for a living. And so as actors, what you've really come to acting probably is in search of some kind of understanding of your own personal existence and what it means to be, and how to relax your ego and open up your personality and exist. Existing is really hard. And so mostly what I teach as an acting teacher, when I'm teaching people, is how to be. The craft is quite simple. We are, however, a species of feared animals. We're terrified. We're all very incredibly insecure and very vulnerable, and we're scared. And so we're scared of things like, having to look at our own existence and understand who we are as instruments. And so instead what we do is we complicate what's simple. So we complicate the craft with, you know, slating. Like what? Like what? Or if you don't mind my saying, and I know I'm going to, some of you are going to be thrown by me, but camera technique. There is no such thing as camera technique. Camera technique does not exist. Film, television is documentary. They film people doing stuff. Your job is to do stuff and then they film it. Your job is to be, and then they film it. The only reason you would actually bring in for a close-up is because you're faking it. All this stuff, all these things that people teach about the craft of acting, they complicate something that is incredibly simplistic. Why? Because they're running away from the thing that's intensely difficult and terrifying, which is to look in the mirror and know who you really are and really be. And that's why you came to acting in the first place.